Hey, yo, guys, what's up? Today, I'd like to talk about an issue that hits close to my heart. It's the issue of mental health. I've been there. I know how tough it can be struggling with mental health issues and traveling. And so, I'd like to talk about how I deal with that a little bit. And I'm going to be a little more serious in this video. I want to cut away to my normal thing. This is something that I find a very serious topic. I know a lot of people are going through a lot of mental health issues. I've been there. I'm currently in there. I've been diagnosed with several different mental health disorders. So I come from a place of a lot of empathy with this. This is George, by the way. He's one of the little neighborhood cats. He's a good cat. He's very friendly. He's very kind. Even when I go outside to give him and the other cat food, he wants me to pet him first before he starts eating. He's a good cat. Anyhow, let's get into the video. So, as some of you may know, I have been diagnosed with several different mental health disorders, which is one of the reasons I want to talk about this today, because I think that I've probably been going through a rough time mentally. I've probably been going through a little rough time the past week or so. My fiance usually notices it. I don't always notice it, but I do sometimes. I'm able to catch it. She notices it for sure because of my personality. It all comes down to my energy level usually. But I was diagnosed with, while I was in the military, several different mental health disorders. I was diagnosed with borderline. And I was diagnosed with insomnia and anxiety. And I had depression, but I think that was brought on by the borderline. I don't know if they officially ended up diagnosing me with depression. And I had a few other things like adjustment disorder, which is kind of hard to believe considering how much I like to travel and whatnot. But I was diagnosed with adjustment disorder, along with a few other things. I don't remember what type it was, but along with borderline, I was also diagnosed with antisocial personality, and they knew that I was worried about being diagnosed with that. I kind of had this battle on my mind because I knew a little bit about mental health disorders, and I knew the antisocial personality disorder is not what everybody thinks it is. It doesn't mean that you're antisocial. In fact, it could quite often probably think an antisocial person is not very antisocial in the fact that they know how to talk to people. They're very good at talking to people. Is that they don't. Well, I'll let y'all look it up. I don't really want to talk about what it is. And then they also diagnosed me with narcissistic personality disorder as well, which is why I get pretty angry when I'm on social media and I see people say that their ex was a narcissist and this and that. It it gets on my nerves a little bit because most people don't even know what that means. They just say it because it's the cool thing to say on social media. So I don't like when I see stuff like that. But the thing I struggle with the most is definitely the borderline and the anxiety and the insomnia, I suppose. I wouldn't even say, though, it's much of a struggle for two of those. The anxiety, I can struggle with that in that sometimes I don't want to go out and do the things my fiance wants to do because I don't want to be around a lot of people. So I'll let her go on her own. But for the most part, the anxiety, once I'm out in that place that gives me anxiety where there's a lot of people or it's dark. It's a dark place with a lot of people and loud music playing. I don't like that. That's usually what spikes my anxiety the most. There are other things, but that is what spikes it. But typically, once I get out in there and I loosen up a little bit, usually takes a few drinks, I'm fine. Insomnia doesn't bother me. I don't really feel the low energy from insomnia much. It's not something that I worry about. I just sleep when I can, and that's it. It is the borderline and the depression that comes to the borderline that's hard. When it comes to traveling, that can be really tough. When you like to travel, like me, having borderline, having depression, especially depression. I guess anxiety too, if you can't handle it very well. Usually my anxiety just makes me super alert or gives me energy or both. So I've been able to use that anxiety. But when it comes to depression, it's hard. When it comes to being borderline, it is very hard. When you're traveling to places you've never been, because you don't have the resources that you would normally have back at your home. I know the Philippines, one of the sad things about the Philippines is that mental health is not, it's starting to get better, but it's still not up there. It's still not something that the Filipino, I don't want to say they don't care, but it's not like one of their main focuses. Where I live right now, there are no counselors, there are no psychiatrists. The closest one that I'm aware of is an hour away. You can take a bus or drive a car to get there. And that's at a hospital, and that's the only one I know of in the area. And that can be tough for someone like me who deals with these kind of issues, especially because I don't like to let other people know, other people I'm close to know what I'm going through, because we all have our own problems. I've come to the realization, especially because my depression is in large part brought on by the broader aspect of borderline, that the depression will pass. It will pass. Typically, what happens when I become depressed, I'm overthinking, or I'm having an argument with my fiance, and I think that we're going to break up. I think it's going to be like every little argument in my head for some reason, and I don't realize it when I'm arguing, but when I step back and look, like right now, I can realize it, which is strange. It drives me nuts, it drives me insane, because if I could just think about it when I'm arguing, for some reason I just can't. While going through the argument, it feels like it's such a big issue, big deal. And then that brings on depression, because I think we're going to break up. Now here is where the other mental health disorders start to kick in, like the narcissism, the antisocial. Even though I'm terrified, I also struggle with not wanting to be wrong. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, my whole life I have been relatively good at talking and arguing and debating. I love to debate, to argue. It's some of my favorite things to do, and not backing down. Unfortunately, is something that I struggle with as well. Even if I feel like the whole world's going to end. I remember one time I was so sick. My fiance and me were arguing. I was so sick that I had a fever and I was hallucinating. It's because we were arguing. I didn't say anything. I laid in bed and I told myself that I would die before I tried to get help. And one time when I was a kid, I remember I was picking fun at my mom. I don't remember what I was doing. And she got so angry, she finally lost it and started beating me with a shoe. And I remember it hurt. But the whole time, I was laughing. I kept on because I thought in my head, either she's going to give in or she's going to knock me out or kill me. Whatever. That kind of stuff has happened quite a bit with me. And that's an issue that I know I have to deal with. But when it comes to the borderline, it makes it worse because it's like this eternal battle in my mind to be right and lose the person I love, or to let that pride go, save the relationship. Here's the thing about that: neither one was even right. Neither one is even right. Ultimately, it's the borderline part of it's the part of my brain that's taking the argument and making it a lot worse than what it is. It's making it so much worse than what it actually is. It's not an argument that would even end the relationship. Oh my gosh. I never thought about that, but this is exactly. I'm coming to the realization of what I'm doing while I'm talking to you on this video. But then my mind separates it into two extremes when neither of those are true. It's strange, but when you deal with these issues in travel, it can be hard. It's not easy. I've dealt with them. So, what are some good ways to overcome that, or to at least be able to deal with that? I can't give medical advice in that I'm not a doctor. Yeah. I graduated back in 2014 with a psychology degree, but not, it was just a bachelor's. I don't have extensive knowledge on this. And certainly what I'm about to say, probably most people, at least in America, wouldn't agree with because of this idea of using medicine to fix everything, which is good. Some people need it. But um, I don't take medicine anymore, especially after I learned that with borderline, you can't really, it's a personality disorder. Medicine can help treat symptoms like the depression, but that's it really. It can't help treat the actual disorder. One of the things I do that helps me with overthinking, and I know my fiance doesn't like it, and I know my friends here probably don't like it that much because I don't get out much. Just constantly, I'm finding things to keep my mind occupied, constantly editing videos. Uh, I mean, you saw I took one break, a 1 week break from my bachelor's to my master's, straight to my master's, and honestly, I'm probably going to finish my master's by December. If I can find a way to get my PhD, it's what I'm going to end up doing next. Just take maybe a 1 or 2 week break, then just going straight in for my PhD. I keep my mind occupied throughout the day. I don't like to have downtime. I don't like to be bored. I like to stay busy. And that has helped me a lot with the overthinking, which in turn helps me a lot with the depression come with overthinking. But what about when my fiance and me argue? Well, her and me are very different in how we argue. And she is quite a bit more loud and animated. I'm a lot more calm and quiet. I don't like to yell. I don't like to get worked up. I stress out over a lot of things in life. I don't want extra stress in my life. So typically, when we're arguing, just let her go off, let her complain and whatnot. If I feel myself getting angry, I'll put my earbuds in, which I know probably doesn't help. I let her know I'm putting my earbuds in because can't deal with it right now. And I try to calm down, give her time to calm down, and we talk it out. Now, obviously, I'm telling you the way I'm making it sound. It makes it sound like I'm doing all the good stuff, and I'm not. Being calm doesn't mean that I'm being the bigger person. Typically, what that means is that I'm just waiting for her to stop and I guess break before me. I don't know. And say I'm sorry. That's typically what that means. The unfortunate reality of me getting angry is sometimes I won't eat. Sometimes I won't sleep. I don't have it in. I don't have the energy in me to do it. But that's how I deal with it. And eventually, we do talk it out, though. It might take a little while for us both to calm down, but we do end up talking it out. But how do I deal with that when I'm in that moment? Is I usually put my earbuds in, listen to music, and do schoolwork if I can, if I can focus, or I'll do video edits, or I'll find something to occupy my mind. That's the unfortunate reality of a lot of how I deal with the unfortunate reality of how I deal with a lot of my problems is that I just find something to preoccupy my mind. Now, with mental health problems, I guess part of me wants to say it's okay because when it comes to depression, eventually the depression will pass. So just occupy my mind until it passes. But that's not always the case. And coming out here to a little area like this is actually also really nice. It's nice to be out in nature. You saw the cat over here earlier. Him and me get along pretty good ever since I came here. Usually being around kids gives me a lot of energy. It's hard for me to be angry when I'm around kids. I have a lot of playful energy, just being goofy and silly. It's a little harder for me now because of my shoulder, my left shoulder here. The army, I got an injury somehow, and I still haven't. I've had the injury for several years, and it still hasn't healed. So it's a little harder for me to play with kids. Like how I like to pick them up and all that kind of stuff. I love doing that. That's how I deal with it typically. I can't give you advice. I can't give you medical advice. I will tell you, if you're going through mental health issues, especially while traveling, well, I would say before traveling, if you know you have mental health issues, talk to a doctor, talk to a psychiatrist, a counselor, whoever you're talking to, let them know what your plans are. And make sure that if you need medicine, that you can get the medicine. Make sure that, you're able to go through the whole TSA thing. I don't know what the rules are with medication with airplanes, but make sure you go through that as well. But if you're already in the area and you don't have the medicine, my best advice to you is to try or at least for what I did, where this isn't medical advice, okay? I just want to throw that out there. I'm not a doctor. I would say try to occupy your mind. Try to focus on something that you enjoy. And I know that's not easy, but you have to somehow force yourself. You gotta find it in you. It's hard to explain. It's hard to explain, but sometimes I imagine one of my heroes, Andrew Tate. I imagine him getting up in my face and yelling at me that I'm lazy, that that I'm going to fail if I don't stop overthinking and not focusing on something to make myself better. And sometimes that works. It's not easy. I know it's not. It's really hard. There are also options. There are phone numbers you could find in different countries. There are phone numbers you can find to talk to a doctor. There are suicide hotlines if it gets that bad. I know for the VA here that I think I still have the app, but I can't log on because I got a new phone number and I can't log into my stuff anymore. But VA Connect, you can use that if you're a veteran, you can use that to connect to a counselor or a therapist on the app. There's also texting apps or texting places. I've done that as well. I done that a few years ago, actually, last year, I think. I used that when I was in the USA. There are ways that if you need help, I think you can find them. I don't know all the resources. I'm sorry I'm so serious with this, guys. This is just something that's near and dear to me. But, if you need that help, I highly recommend you seek out the help. And for me, right now, what I'm doing is working. I realize that it's not the best advice. I realize that, and that I'm not saying that you should do this. I'm just telling you what works for me, although I'm not a doctor. So take that for what it's worth. Alright guys, sorry for being so serious. I just thought this was something important that I should talk about, considering that sometimes I go through this. I was going to make a more lighthearted video. I even had my script and stuff right before I walked out the door, and then I thought I just want to free talk this one and make it about the mental health issues, because I know there are a lot of people who go through that. Alright guys, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, complaints, leave them in the comment section below. Let me know. I'll respond to you. Hit that like and subscribe button. Know that you guys are valuable and that you matter. Until next time, guys, God bless and peace.